Hey everyone, this is Cameron from Renegade Animation on renegadepopculture.com. If you like what we do, please give us a like, a follow, and a rating on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to us. We are everywhere where you can find podcasts. If you can, consider supporting our Patreon. That way we can keep doing what we love, and that's talking about the wild world of animation. And now, on with the show.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me, as always, is the animation guru himself, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And today we got a fun episode for you guys. We've got reviews for Plankton the movie and two selections from this year's New York International Children's Film Festival, Living Large and Savages. But first, something that you may be able to catch in theaters is the first three episodes of a brand new anime, Witch Watch.
So we're doing yet another compilation, quote unquote, film, since it's, not really a movie, called Witch Watch Watch Party, which is, of course, advertising the upcoming spring 2025 anime season series, Witch Watch. It is funny to watch this and the Gundam one back to back and to see how different they handle the three episode compilation approach. Because as much as I like the Gundam one, just because it's Gundam and Hideaki Anno is a good reason to check this new series out,
hmm
I think Witch Watch handles it better as a quote unquote movie because it doesn't have the base premise setup that Gundam G Quick has, where they had to take 30 minutes of an episode zero to really build up the whole plot. And then they only give us like 45 to 50 minutes of real new stuff to figure out. Witch Watch, it's just a three episodes plus an interview with the two leads and the director.
That was the part that I appreciated, just the fact that they made this watch party a little bit more of an experience. Getting that little peek behind the curtain with the two leads of the voice cast and some of the creative team, that was fun, on top of the show being delightful.
They did this when they released Look Back in theaters, where because Look Back was only 60 minutes, they had an interview with the director and the two leads. Whereas Witch Watch Watch Party has an introduction from the leads and the director and bookends the movie, quote unquote, with another part of the interview with the two leads and the director. Morihito Otogi is a high school student who comes from a lineage of ogres, enjoys a peaceful, ordinary life until his childhood friend Nico moves in with him. Nico is a witch in training and chooses Morihito to be her familiar. While Nico is thrilled to reunite with her old friend and crush, Morihito is tasked with the perilous duty to protect her from a foretold calamity. Between the unpredictable chaos caused by Nico's magic and the awkwardness of sharing a home, their lives become a whirlwind of supernatural hijinks and threats. It's a bit of a bummer we didn't get to see this with the English dub because they announced a English cast right before this came out. So if we talk about the voice cast, we're really only going to focus on Rina Kawaguchi and Ryota Suzuki as our two leads. It's a very delightful little comedy where it's mostly school day shenanigans where Nico tries to use her magic to help solve a problem or a situation at hand, only to really not get how her magic has both a pro and a setback effect. Like when they saved that woman from a building fire, they almost crash into the ground because three people can't ride on her, albeit very cool broom, which is like a cane with a fiery burst at the end of it.
I do like the design of that broom. It is really cool.
Like the beginning of the episode with the setup, she starts using a light spell, which makes everything that she wants to pick up, very light. And then when they're about to crash, she uses a light spell on Otogi to make him light enough so they can fly and land somewhere safe. But the setback of the spell causes him to be a lighthead, like, an airhead. And then when the spell wears off, it makes them heavy, where their bodies become heavy. But not just physically heavy, more mentally heavy, like how they're saying really heavy philosophical stuff. It's a very absurd style of comedy that makes it a lot of fun to watch. And the buildup of like the side characters is very entertaining. I love when Otogi is just like, I'm going to enjoy a peaceful day today. And then Nico comes crashing through the window.
It takes 0 seconds for things to go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, wait a minute, I'll fix the window with my magic. And she takes Otogi's favorite mug and uses it as a conduit for her magic to fix the glass window. But but then the mug ends up broken because she essentially switched the broken status of the window to the mug. The window's fixed, but the mug is forever broken.
I think that's the thing I like about this show is it's not just that the fantasy is a convenience for the lives. It's they play a lot with cause and effect, and that's where all the humor drives from.
It's a very dry sense of humor also, with a little bit of wordplay, and like when Otogi goes against the three bullies, they all like have very different linguistical skills of speaking, where they're like the leader of the bullies will say the most, and then the three other bullies in like order will speak fewer and fewer words until the last guy is just like what you do with like a stereotypical caveman, like oh da 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 da, and it's just like you got to speak clearer, buddy. And I don't know how people feel about this because I know some people are annoyed with the fact that like we got mystical creature human entities again, and if someone told you Ultagi was an ogre and you didn't see like the little design choices that help define the fact that he's an ogre, like with the pointed hair representing like an oni horn in like Japanese folklore, then you wouldn't even know that these were based on, like, we know that Otsuki's based off of an ogre, and we know another character who's introduced at the very end of the third episode is a Tengu, not because of his visual look, but because of the weapon he uses. I get how that can be annoying because it is like, come on, folks. Do you know how many people are like, I want to marry the beast from Beauty and the Beast, like the Disney version and such?
Oh, yeah.
But I think it works for this because it's meant to be more of a comedy. I know there's an overarching threat in whatever calamity is said to be coming because of Nico being a witch, but it's fine that they are mostly human. As long as the characters are entertaining and the humor works, it's not going to be that big of a stretch to have a bunch of folks who are like demonic entities or spirits taking human form. Plus, this is anime and they want you to buy the merchandise and find the characters cute and attractive and, buy the stuff.
Of course. Anime likes anime.
If this was like a dark fantasy show or something like that, like a Berserk or something based off of Baldur's Gate 3, I would maybe have more of an issue with that. But I don't. And I like, for the most part, while they build up the romance between our two leads, there's not a whole lot of fan service elements to it. It tries its best in it, or it focuses less on it than I think a lot of shows would put the focus on. It's not like a 100 Girlfriends thing where that show is going to be filled to the brim with fan service, and that's the point.
They keep things pretty tasteful in how they handle fan service. Like at best, there's maybe like one scene in like the second episode that kind of counts, but not really.
Yeah, when she's like, I want to get a different outfit and look fashionable for Otogi. And she makes a replica of a fashion outfit she saw in a magazine using magic, but since the magic only makes a replica of the front of the outfit, the back of the outfit is see-through. And they focus more on the shenanigans of like her trying to avoid showing the back half of her. But the camera never lingers on her body in a more lecherous way and such. It's nice because even though it's like, yes, anime is a young person's game and all that jazz and what have you, it is still like weird when the camera's like, I'm gonna ogle this teenager when it's like done in a tasteless way and what have you.
Yeah.
And yes, if you are expecting the animation to be theatrical quality, you're not going to get that here. That's the thing. This is literally 3 episodes of the show. It is not going to have the Sunrise and Kara level of animation. It's more focused on executing the jokes and of course, working off a TV budget because, not every anime can get to look like a Sunrise Studio Kara situation,
Oh no, of course not.
which is like okay and acceptable, but also like if you're looking like the middle-aged online shopper from another world, maybe it's time to dial back on how many shows y'all greenlit.
I will say this though, this show has set my expectations for the rom-com genre for spring 2025. So, in order to make my top five, you have to either meet this show or beat it.
I've looked at the library of what's coming out in the spring season, and I don't know, man. It looks fine, but it seems like this and the summer season are just the season of sequels because there are a ton of sequels that I'd rather watch over some of this newer stuff. But who knows? I want to be surprised. And so far, we've seen 2 of the new shows from the spring season with Gundam G Quick and Witch Watch. Here's hoping for the best. And I hope the rest of this show is good too. But now, we must journey on and talk about one of the more surprising movies of 2025 so far, since we're still in that huge theatrical film drought. I hope y'all are planning on seeing The Day the Earth Blew Up in theaters because otherwise we're kind of stuck with whatever streaming or smaller releases get put out there.
Agreed.
So, since we still have to wait until June for Elio, we will have to talk about stuff like Plankton the movie, the newest SpongeBob movie slash special for Netflix. At first, I was planning on avoiding this movie because the Sandy Cheeks movie was terrible. Just not very good. I feel bad that both this and the Sandy Cheeks movie got leaked online by some either extremely disgruntled Netflix employee or some hacker who happened to get the files to release the whole movie onto the internet and such. But this wasn't actually that bad. Is it as good as the original movie?
Hmm.
No. Does it have the vibrant kinetic animation of the sponge on the run? No. But I'll say this is the best SpongeBob movie since the 2015 movie.
I will agree with that. I still think controversial opinion that Sponge Out of Water is it's my personal favorite SpongeBob movie. I know everyone loves the first one. I love the first one too. I saw it in theaters and so many more times on home video that year. But Plankton the movie genuinely surprised me in just how delightful it was, both as a buddy comedy with Plankton and SpongeBob, but also as a musical.
I'm curious to know what the production pipeline for this and the Sandy Cheeks movie were because the Sandy Cheeks movie frankly looks terrible. A lot of CGI looks extremely cheap and it just did not mesh well with the live action elements and it had to struggle with that throughout the whole runtime. with some of the worst use of celebrities that the franchise has ever had to underutilize and underwhelm with. Plankton the movie dials the scale back and I think has CGI animation on par or at least the closest to quality to Sponge Out of Water. Where, yes, it's not using the snappy faux stop motion look of the sponge on the run, but it does have very energetic CGI animation that does not come off like it's worried or afraid to use snappy, flexible cartoon like animation rules, the 12 steps of animation and what have you.
Yep.
And it also helps that Mr. Lawrence, the voice of Plankton, is the writer for this movie and came up with the story. Which, listen, if there was somebody on this franchise that deserved to have his own movie, it's Mr. Lawrence.
Oh,
And
easily.
because he is a huge part, he's been a huge part of 90s Nickelodeon because he was also on like Rocco's Modern Life as the turtle character and was a writer for that show. So a lot of early SpongeBob is on top of Steve Hillenburg's contributions and whatever teams and talented writers and creatives there are like based on them and Lawrence's work. So Plankton's tangled love story with his sentient computer wife goes sideways when she takes a stand and decides to destroy the world without him. Essentially, their marriage is on the rocks. And Plankton basically takes Karen for granted, and Karen is just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take over the world and I'm going to do it properly because you are incapable of doing so. It becomes a journey of Plankton to reignite his love for his wife, Karen. Honestly, it's shocking how much more tolerable SpongeBob is in this movie. Again, I wonder what the production pipelines for these two movies were because in the Sandy Cheeks movie, SpongeBob was pointless and he was extremely grating. But here, SpongeBob and his antics are dialed way back. And I think that really does help because he has to work alongside Plankton. And again, a lot of that is also probably because of Mr. Lawrence himself being behind a majority of the writing alongside Chris Viscardi and Kaz.
I think what makes SpongeBob work in this movie compared to the Sandy Cheeks movie is it really just comes down to chemistry because Tom Kenny and Mr. Lawrence, they work so well off each other, not just in this movie, but like even episodes of the original series. Like the best episodes always were the ones where Plankton and SpongeBob were working together on something, or Plankton is just being the villain and SpongeBob has to stop him.
Well, I mean, that's why there are so many great early episodes from the early four seasons where there's the first episode where Plankton takes over SpongeBob's mind and we get like the great joke of like, this is my lab. And it shows footage of a Labrador retriever. And then he walks into the next room over, and this is my laboratory. And then obviously the fun episode where SpongeBob teaches Plankton to, what fun is. And we get all the great little moments of like, F is for fire that burns down the whole town. U is for uranium. Bomb. Then the what if Mr. Krabs and Plankton swapped places and how Plankton just realizes it's not worth it to take Mr. Krabs' spot in life. And he, rips off his outfit and it's like see y'all later. I'll see y'all in therapy. And I agree with one of the writers who wrote their review for this movie on But Why Though, where if you are a fan of early on SpongeBob, this is a great movie for you. It is extremely targeted to folks who like the first four seasons and then the first movie. And it also does a nice mix of 2D animation and CGI. A lot of great visual gags and moments. I love that the flashback for Plankton acknowledges the fact that his whole family's a bunch of hillbillies, and it does it in such a Fleischer rubber hose style animation style.
That is honestly my favorite of the flashbacks, that scene, because the animation and attention to detail really nailing that early Fleischer style is just perfect.
And then another great thing that this movie does, it keeps the humans out of the movie. No real interaction happens with the humans. So the animators don't have to deal with, oh, will the animation composite well onto the live action footage? There is, at the very least, maybe at most 2 minutes total of live action footage. It's only used extremely sparingly. The first time you see it is how we find the origin of the chum bucket, which take that origin with a grain of salt because I'm sure the show is going to try to find another origin for it because SpongeBob's continuity doesn't really matter.
Nope.
It's just whatever makes the joke funnier. Because I remember someone on Twitter, right when that site was going on a downward spiral, of being like, SpongeBob knows how to put on a tie and tie it. And he was getting so mad because there was a punchline in a recent episode where SpongeBob admits he wears a clip-on tie when he was supposed to admit another secret, the Krabby Patty secret formula secret. And it's just like, man, go touch grass.
Like, seriously, guys, come on.
Like the joke was funny. It's like continuity be darned as long as the jokes work.
Speaking of continuity, I love how in one of the flashbacks we get the origin of why Plankton is obsessed with the Krabby Patty secret formula.
That was great. It is a genuinely fun movie to watch with a lot of great humor. I do love the fact that SpongeBob becomes a literal armchair psychiatrist because he thinks he can be one after reading a comic book. That's like me reading up how you make ice cream and thinking I can make it within a fridge when it's like, no, you can't. You got to have very specific ingredients, man. It's got a lot of fun action. The characters have great animation to them. What was the point of Plankton's dog Spot? He is there for like the first 5 minutes.
And then we just never see him again.
It's funny how they introduce him a dog, and one of the first teaser images we see is Plankton with Spot, but then Spot does nothing. But I assume it is probably a joke of like, supervillain with the white cat and such.
Probably, yeah.
It's like how Feathers McGraw in the recent Wallace and Gromit had a white seal puppy that represents, the fluffy white cat of James Bond villains and such. I like how they also utilize a majority of the cast. Sometimes it's like, okay, we gotta have the characters here because reasons. But I liked seeing Sandy, Pearl, and Mrs. Puff play a bigger role in the movie
As
normally.
Karen's support group.
And it's also nice just to see them utilize them more because I just realized how like male centric SpongeBob's world is. Like not as
Hmm.
a like, oh, this makes it bad. It's like, no, it's just there are only like four female main characters in the entirety of SpongeBob. It's Pearl, Sandy, Mrs. Puff, and Karen. But like you said, this is also a musical. And while I'll say that the music wasn't always the best, Karen's villain song was dynamite. And it's because the songs were done a lot by Mark and Robert Mothersbaugh, Devo.
Yep. And Brett McKenzie, too.
Yeah, and Brett McKenzie and Linda Perry. And they did a lot of work on the Muppet movies, like the recent ones, the Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. So while they don't hit it out of the park, they're still catchier than what we normally get or could have gotten because the musical stuff from the last movie was just awful. Like I hate dunking on the Sandy Cheeks movie because Sandy Cheeks was one of the characters who should have had her own movie and then she finally got one and it just was not good in any way. Here, it is like sweet to watch Plankton slowly realize how much of a jerk he's been. At first, he's very open and accepting that he is a jerk. And then after he gets the empathy chip put into him and later on when it fries out. And he just becomes, a better person because empathy is not the enemy, no matter what ketamine infused drug addicts tell you. Empathy is human. You are human if you care about someone else.
Hmm.
Like, it's sweet to see essentially the finale of the movie be solved by Plankton apologizing. Like, yes, this isn't probably what most people would be considered a overall deep movie. It's probably overall just fine. The fact that I had a better time with this than I was expecting makes it one of the better films. So, like, I'm not going to say I disagree with some people, like giving it 2 stars or 3 stars and such, though feel like a lot of reviews, if you see them on Letterboxd, are just really freaking fake,
Yeah.
just artificial opinions and such. I had a good time, and I feel like if you're going to watch a SpongeBob movie, you can watch worse ones. Like Sponge on a Run may look better, but its story is very non-existent. And Sandy Cheeks, the movie, is not great.
What this movie did is it gave me more hope for the search for SquarePants, which I think is coming at the end of this year.
Yeah, that's weird that we have two different SpongeBob movies coming out this year. Like this one and then one getting released theatrically. Which, if it ends up with that movie having the fancy faux stop motion, that's going to be a little disappointing to see them be like, okay, we got to look for the TV specials and we got to look for the theatrical movies. And I'm worried that this is going to be a little too much SpongeBob in the year for people, but who knows? Like how people will react to that. I'm just thinking back to 2017 where we had two Lego movies and not in a row, but still months apart from one another.
And people thought that was too much.
Exactly. And then that caused the Lego Movie 2 to underperform, despite it being a very good movie. I hope this doesn't affect the theatrical movie. So I'd recommend this one. It's genuinely a sweet movie. It has really solid humor. It might be lightweight, but it's not like a lot of animation fans are going towards the heavier stuff anyway these days, especially with the fact that they're probably not going to like these next two movies we're talking about
That's if they even see them.
or care. For now, let's dive into our New York International Children's Film Festival offerings. We did try to check out 4 movies from the festival with The Boat in the Garden, Toto-chan, Living Large, and Savages. Unfortunately, because of whatever reason, we only were able to check out Living Large and Savages. So we're just going to be talking about those this year, which is a shame because I do like this festival, but for whatever reason, the cards were not in our favor. Oh
Fortunately,
well.
both of these movies are ones that I can 100% recommend. So, while I would have wanted to cover more, I think it's a fair trade-off.
Yeah, because Living Large, like for context, was a movie submitted to the Oscars last year where it was trying to become a Best Animated Feature nom. I'm not entirely sure how because I never saw a distributor for this movie. And what's odd is that it has a English dub when where'd that English dub come from? Who's bringing it over? Is it like Shout Factory or whoever else?
That's a great question because some of the names in this cast are ones that if you were of our generation, you would recognize, like Wayne Grayson, Erica Schroeder, Ryan Addies, and Mike Pollock, among others.
But yeah, but who paid for the dubbing? So this is a stop motion movie. It's actually kind of nice that we got both stop motion movies. I honestly forgot that Living Large was stop motion. So this was directed by Kristina Duvkova, who also directed Film Ferum to the Good of All back in 2011. And Here is the overall plot. It is the beginning of the school year. At 13 years old, Ben discovers the effects of puberty on his classmates who have changed a lot, especially Claire, who is now really pretty. Ben would like her to notice him, but he is hung up by his weight, and even the school nurse worries about him. Despite his passion for cooking, Ben decides to go on a long and difficult diet. To face the bullying from Max and his gang, Ben can count on the support of his crazy family and his friends Claire, Eric, and Sonia. Together, they start a band for the Christmas show. At the end of the year, that will have made them all grow up, gain confidence in themselves, in life, and in love. I really like the stop motion for this movie. It is very fluid, maybe a little too animated at points with how floaty some of the characters feel.
Sure, a little bit.
A little bit, but the visual look is extremely distinct. So it's not trying to be like another Aardman or Leica like production. It has a very 90s ugliness to it, and I mean that in a positive way,
Yeah,
where
that's ac
it's like that underground 90s comic look to the designs and such.
actually, yeah, that's a great way to put it, especially with the like the 2D animated flourishes that you get, whether it's like in Daydreams or both of Ben's like nightmare sequences. The animation in this very unique, and it really does help this story stand out.
Because at the end of the day, this is a very like modern day slash 80s coming of age story. A boy becoming a teenager, finding out that he's interested in love, and learning about who he is, and growing to become more confident in himself and in his abilities. At first, I was a little worried that the dieting was going to take up the whole runtime, just because at 80 minutes, it's not a long movie. But it's more about not just bettering your body, but bettering yourself. And I like that the only time Ben's weight is brought up is either by doctors, his parents who are just worried about him, and when bullies are being fat phobic. Because Ben is very confident in himself. He's laid back, he's likable, he has a decent amount of snark to push back against the haters. And it's really nice to see that. Because some movies are like they have good intentions, but then they become like extremely
Preachy.
fat phobic and such, and yikes. And I like that. Yes, he does go on a diet and he does get better. And of course, like any, like I'm trying to better myself story, he does relapse when he is at his grandmother's when he finds out that Claire is not in love with him in the way that he was hoping. But it is like this whole idea is executed well. It's just like it doesn't reinvent the wheel of these coming of age stories, but I like Ben and I like his friends, especially his lanky, curly haired friend who plays the drums.
Eric is cool.
Yeah, Eric is just ride or die with him, man. He is the best friend that you could look for here. The only one who doesn't get a whole lot of development as a character is I think Sonia the goth.
Yeah.
She's just kind of whatever. And the movie does try to have some nuance and layers to how relationships play out because Ben's parents are divorced, and the movie does not hide that fact that Ben's mom does not like the fact that like her ex is now hooking up with someone else. But instead of it being like, oh, I'm just looking for a, like a younger model kind of thing, like you do find out why Ben's dad's new like girlfriend is attached to him or like why he finds him appealing because it's not like because his dad's like a big rich guy. It's spoilers for those who are curious. you find out that like this kind of background wallflower character, like the new girlfriend, has a missing leg, and he helped her with making a prosthetic leg for her. And while I wish the movie could have gone a little further into like maybe closing up like the wounds that are still fresh on both the father and the mother's side of things, I do like that they both care about the son. It's not like a deadbeat dad or mom situation.
No, if anything, as far as like them being divorced, I kind of like how they have this. We're going to be civil towards each other because we both love our son, and that's the focus.
The only like mean characters are the bullies and the gym coach, who is just the worst. Oh my God. If your coach is threatening to beat up a student, like, fire him.
Hmm.
The school's responsibility is to make sure that the kids get an education and feel protected and safe. When you have a bully problem and a coach is part of that problem, that's bad. And it's nice to see the bully and the coach get their karma delivered to them on a nice hot dish.
Yeah.
Where even like the bully's two cronies, who are Claire's brothers, are like, yo, dude, what the heck?
I love how even they turn on Max because they're just sick of him.
And I like that the movie does not end with saying Ben beating up Max is the right answer. Like, Ben just basically psychological warfares him by almost hitting him with a dodgeball multiple times when the brothers think he's like Max is getting the tar kicked out of him. And I like that. It's, violence is not always the answer, and sometimes it's not great. I like the indie vibe that this movie has, especially with its soundtrack. Like, this and Savages have very eclectic soundtracks. Or I don't know if you were able to Shazam the songs that were playing during.
Wasn't, but I did just really enjoy the music in this overall, both like the soundtrack and the original song that the band performs at the end of this.
Yeah, the movie ends with the big climactic performance where, while Ben is not happy that he and Claire aren't going to be a couple, it's just like he grows up. He's like, you know what? It's not the end of the world. I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep getting better. And they invite Claire on to be the keyboard player for the band, despite the fact that Eric's dad is like, come on, man, I want to be the keyboard player. It was a delightful movie, and it's so weird to see all the bad reviews on Letterboxd from people who are just so unserious as like people trying to review a movie. More
I didn't even
like,
try to read those reviews and like I no, I respectfully no, get out of here.
I went through a few, and a lot of them are like, this was supposed to be aimed at kids. Oh, I'm clutching my pearls. And it's like, well, welcome. The world of animation is not always made for kids, you knuckleheads. Like, people are like, yeah, gotta go where the real people think, when most of the time people are the most unserious losers on Letterbox. And I mean, not us, because we're actually trying to be civil and actually start a conversation here. It's just frustrating when you find those people who are like, animation is only for kids. If it does anything other than that, I'm going to pull a South Park movie and blame Canada for some reason. And I don't know, man. I like this movie. I think it's a real gem of the year so far. And I can see why they thought it could try to get Oscar nominated, even though it had really no chance, since it has no real US release as of yet, which
Yeah,
sucks.
that's unfortunate, but I'm at least happy that it apparently won the Contrechamp last year's Annecy Film Festival.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was one of the bigger hits at the Annecy Film Festival. And I know sometimes you have to take a lot of festival reactions with a grain of salt. I mean, we were in a year last year with, oh yeah, Amelia Perez. So that's not a problem here. It's okay to be like, okay, I want to see what it's like for myself instead of just being like, oh, okay, I'm going to be excited right after seeing it at a festival and what have you. In general, Living Large doesn't reinvent the wheel of coming of age stories, but it's cool stop motion animation mixed with its 2D elements and its story of just gaining confidence in yourself is a delightful surprise in a year that seems like it's not really full of many of those surprises.
Well said.
And now we finally get to talk about really a film I'm shocked G Kids hasn't brought over yet because it's by the same director as the Oscar nominated My Life as a Zucchini, Claude Barris's Savages. This was another one that came out last year during the Annecy Film Festival. And again, why is it taking so long for this to come over? And I'm shocked that G Kids has not already thought about or are close to announcing this to come over because they did it with My Life as a Zucchini. They should be bringing this one over. Or if our assumptions can be foundation of any guesses, they really are just focusing on Japanese films and animation right now because of Toho being their parent company now. But we'll talk about that another time. Maybe we'll do like a State of G Kids podcast, something in or something in the future like that.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, yeah. So, savages. In Borneo, near the tropical forest, Kiria rescues a baby orangutan in the palm oil plantation where her father works. Kiria's cousin, Sele, comes to live with them, seeking refuge from the conflict between his indigenous tribe and the logging companies. Kiria, Sele, and the little orangutan, now named Oshi, will have to fight against their forest's destruction. Did you see My Life as a Zucchini, Mike?
Sadly, no, I still need to circle back to that one, but now I really want to after seeing this movie because this is really something excellent.
It is, and it watching this yesterday via a screener, it reminds me how much I love French animation in movies because not that there aren't movies that have more energetic personalities and vibes to them. A lot of times, French animation is very quiet. It lets the characters breathe and speak on their own terms without some American animation standard to like get in the way of just letting you feel engrossed in the movie.
There's a purity when it comes to the art of animation in France. Like, there are some movies that if they want to be silly, they can be extremely silly. But if they want to actually take the narrative seriously, in this case, it's very much a anti-deforestation movie, then yeah, it's going to take that story seriously.
It is very anti deforestation. It's amazing how blunt they are. And I know some people are like, oh, I want it to be more subtle and nuanced. Man, media literacy is so dead these days. I am fine with a movie being as blunt as possible for any situation and such. And I'm glad that this movie is as forward as it is because it is a huge issue. It doesn't even try to make the villains, the logging company, anything but villains. They don't try to put a redemptive arc on them. Like the moment when you see later on with the company going against the indigenous tribe, the spokesperson for the company is just laying it out there like no hidden subtlety of he's a bad person. Listen, take the money, we'll tear down your forest, make it turn it into the plantation, and then hire y'all to be laborers here. And it's like, wow.
There is just no getting around it. These guys are bastards.
Oh, and they even just do not hide the fact that a lot of these companies are willing to kill people to get a means to an end.
It's like that Monsters Inc. meme. I'll burn down all the forest before I let my company die.
Exactly. Like a lot of this is watching Kiria and Sele travel through the forest, run into an old friend and like person who was like part of the outside world, who then became so enthralled with the tribe to start living with them. It's a movie that's all about the delicate balance between humans and nature and how we do not own the earth. We are just borrowing it from our children, which is what the opening line of the movie is. And while the tribes folks live on the in the forest away from civilization, they still have some modern items with them, like a phone. Like it's like the slow bleed of modernization invading a natural part of the planet. I just love that there are just so many moments in this movie where it's just Kiria learning to grow and to feel more attached to like the nature and her mother's tribe and customs. In that moment where she finds the beautiful place where her uncle talks with her, like on that mountaintop with the one tree that's on a mountain shaped with like with a face and such.
That scene is just gorgeous.
This is a very lovely movie. It has a lot of the same design aesthetics as My Life as a Zucchini. Definitely a lot more limited in color than the last movie, but that's fine. This is meant to be a more mature movie for like with its tone. Like there's that scene at night where all the moss is glowing and Kiria has that encounter with the panther or and it's just beautiful. It's like a scene out of Avatar almost. There is a moment in the movie where Kiria gets so fed up because she wants to protect her people and she almost does some ecological terrorism with blowing up a construction vehicles and almost dies because of it. Like you see the panther come back and make sure that she's okay instead of just taking her dead body and such. Well, you assume that she's dead after the explosion.
Oh, yeah.
Like her father said, like, do not become violent with them because I don't want it what happened to your mother to happen to you, which you find out that her mom protested against the logging company and her and some of the other women of the tribe were found dead in the water through like mysterious circumstances, even though it's not really mysterious circumstances.
If it's not obvious enough just through his description, you know what happened.
Because at first, the movie tries to imply that a panther ate her. And a lot of the story is about Kiria letting go of her mom's death and to become one with nature. And then you find out that the logging company killed her. And it's just amazing to see this movie literally have the villain pull a gun on a child. It was
That takes some guts to actually commit to that.
like Disney would not allow this. They would find a means to avoid doing that, like almost to a like 4 kids degree of censorship or avoidance of a scene like that. Even though back then they were pretty much okay with that. Oh
You know,
man.
something else I like about this movie is how the children are written. They're not perfect little angels. They are flawed. Like the movie takes time to like let them grow. At first, Kyria is just very against having to share any space with her cousin. But then as the film progresses, they grow closer through their experience in the forests.
Exactly. It's a very good like progression of story and themes as we see how these characters grow. While it does end on a more optimistic note where Kiria's footage of the logging company pushing back like stuff goes viral and the whole world comes together to put an end and a means to stopping the logging industry from destroying Borneo. Because it's true, you take away their forests, where are they going to go? What are the animals going to eat?
Hmm.
All for friggin' palm oil. Just ugh. But it's still dour because Sile is still going to have to learn and go to school to educate himself, no matter what the outcome is going to be.
Oh yeah.
Again, it's the delicate dance between progress and preservation. Like, it's good to preserve our forests, it's important to, but we can help preserve the forest with our modern technology. There are ways to save it with what we can do, but we just have to be careful. We can't keep taking without giving back to the
Exactly.
earth itself. I don't know if anybody's thinking like, man, that sounds like one of those save the environment movies from the 80s and 90s, but it's like a good version of that. And
Yeah. I think if anything, this is closer in tone and style to Princess Mononoke, just not as violent.
exactly. I'm going to try to see Princess Mononoke on in IMAX. That's going to be amazing if I can see that. Anyway, Savages is just really good. It might not hit as hard as My Life as a Zucchini for me, but it's that situation of My Life as a Zucchini came first. It had like a different writer. These two movies have different writers because the main writer for My Life as a Zucchini is Celine Sciamma, who did Portrait of a Lady on Fire and Petite Maman. And by the way, if you get the Criterion version of Petite Maman, you can get a copy of My Life as a Zucchini
Oh,
that
that's
comes
cool.
with that release. But it also G Kids brought over My Life as a Zucchini, so you can get it as a standalone disc as well. It's just cool to watch foreign animation. Anytime when you watch it, there's a greatness to foreign animation that I wish American animation could do more of instead of having to compromise with the fact that American audiences are not ready to watch stuff like Savages.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I think the reality of the situation is culturally, America doesn't really take art as seriously as other parts of the world.
It's a shame because you can kind of see a lot of the American made movies try their hardest to adopt and take the mentality of certain films, like Luca trying to be a more laid back Ghibli style experience, but still having to fall back on general American style storytelling. And just to see like films in France and Japan and other parts of the world take storytelling seriously. Neza 2 is still my favorite movie of the year so far because of how it takes its story seriously. And while it has its funny moments, like it has some really funny moments. It's probably up there with The Day the Earth Blew Up as one of the funniest movies of the year so far.
Cannot wait till I finally get to see Neja 2.
Yeah, we're going to do an episode about the first two movies when the second movie becomes readily available because it's worth talking about now two of the most important animated films of recent history. But back to Savages. I hope someone brings this one over. I hope it's whether it's Shout Factory or G Kids. I just want to see movies like this reach wider audiences. And even though I'm always going to tell animation fans, you got to go to the theaters to see these movies. If you can see these movies at any point, theatrical or if it hits on demand, freaking do it. And
Yeah,
if you really have to, pirate it, but try to legally support it first if you
yeah.
can.
For me, piracy is always a last resort, but before that, this is a call to arms to both film distributors and film goers. We want to see more diverse selection of movies, and the only way we can do that is if more distributors like a G Kids step up to the plate and bring them over.
Exactly. We need more distributors like G Kids to bring these movies over and make sure more audiences know about them because if all you do is follow the US side of things, then you're going to get bored really fast. And to invest your time into watching stuff like Savages, Living Large, Neza 2, and even stuff like The Sloth Lane or A Sloth Story helps makes you appreciate animation more. Like when you can just see how creative it can be when you're not stuck watching bottom of the barrel slop for YouTube algorithm results. But that is all the time that we have for this episode. It's nice to have like an episode where we're not really having to dance around the fact we didn't like a movie or found it underwhelming or something like that. I'm always going to champion when we can have more positive episodes.
Exactly. These are the episodes that I personally like the most because we can just celebrate the stuff that we love instead of bemoaning the stuff we don't.
Like, we'll talk about stuff like Hell of a Boss in the near future. Don't get us wrong. We will have to talk about stuff like that, and we'll be as respectful as we can be to the fact that animation is a challenging prospect and production and such. So, next time, we're definitely going to be talking about the day the Earth blew up. So, I hope y'all are going to see that movie by the time this podcast comes out. Please go see this movie. If it's playing in a theater near you, please see it. Make people know. Make Warner Brothers know that you want to see Coyote versus Acme and that you tell the industry that you want to see 2D animation in theaters. And
Yes.
honestly, when I saw that movie at Animation as Film, it was a delight. One of my favorite film going experiences from last year, where everyone was just laughing their heads off. It is so funny. Please ignore the marketing and such. Just go watch this movie. That's like, not really a sight not unseen recommendation because I've seen the movie. It's freaking amazing.
And I will have seen the movie by the time this episode is posted. So, yeah, go see it. And until next time, Cameron, where can everyone find you online?
You could find me on Blue Sky at Cam's Eye View. I have my own website called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films and shows from around the world called The Other Side of Animation. I will be posting written reviews for Living Large and Savages there. And I am a contributor to Media Magpies, a new source of media criticism where you can check out my most recent editorials talking about the weird modernization of the Smurfs and my impressions on Gundam G-Quicks for that website. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/camsiview. That's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/Coach K42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Renegade Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.